Hi, Rabbi Shafier here, and I'm very excited to tell you about a new program that I'm starting with Hashem. It's called the Sugyah. We're going to be learning iyun, sugiyahs throughout Shas. It's a Zoom Shiur, and the way it'll work is we'll take one Sugyah and we'll spend about 2 weeks on it. The Shiur itself meets 3 times a week, so what'll happen is I'll give out more makamos. You'll get a chance with your chavrusa to learn through the mar makamos, and then 3 times a week we'll meet on the Zoom platform. You'll have a chance to discuss things, to ask back and forth, and within that 2-week period we'll cover an entire sugya. And I hope to really get a good grip. If you're looking to grow in learning, if you're looking to gain skills, if you want to get back to the type of iyun that was back in Yeshiva days, please join us. I think it'll be a very, very important and very, very meaningful experience. For more details, please see below. Thank you. I got to leave at a certain point, so let's get moving. Okay, Show's Mondays, we're going to do part 2 today. Okay, here we go. We're going to do Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim Reish Samach Aleph. This is going to be the halachas of when it is, how we come with 72 minutes, the whole business about Rabbeinu Tam and the Gra, etc. So this is the Sugyah. This is where we're going to get everything clear. Okay, so let's begin. Here's halacha in Shulchan Aruch. Yesh Omrim. Shetzarach losi michol al kodesh. Yesh omrim, that means mechaber holds like the shita, by the way. You have to be mostly michol al kodesh. You have to add time before Shabbos and after Shabbos. Zman tosef zehu mitchilas hashkiya. Now this concept tosef Shabbos, how much you have to add, we'll see soon, but you have to add a certain amount before and after Shabbos. This time is mitchilas hashkiya. Shein Hashem is near ala aretz, from the time that the sun dips below the horizon. Adzman ben hashmashos, until it's ben hashmashos. It's 3 mil and a revi. We're going to see what all these things mean. If you want to make the whole thing tosef Shabbos, you can. If you want to make a little bit, you can. Whatever amount of tosef Shabbos you can make. As long as you add some time of chol al kodesh, and the amount of time of ben hashmashos is 3/4 of a mil. Shemahalach elef atovkuf amas 1500 amas kodem halayla. Okay, one last statement, then we'll go on. God, the Rama says, if you want, you can makabel Shabbos as early as plag, but no earlier. All right, so let's deal with this concept called tosef Shabbos. But to do this, first we have to discuss what ben hashmashos is. Ben hashmashos is a time that's not day and not night. It's a suffix layla, suffix day. And ben hashmashos is used throughout halacha as a time. It's a suffix. We don't know. In other words, we can't say it's not vaday laila and it's not vaday yom. Okay, now, Mechaber said you make tosef Shabbos before ben hashmashos. The time of ben hashmashos is 3 revi mil. Shema alach tavkaf amas. 3/4 of a mil, which is 1500 amas. Now, a mil is 2000 amas. We paskin, or more paskin this way, that it takes 18 minutes to walk an amma. I'm sorry, 2000, a mil. A mil is 2000 amas, and it takes 18 minutes to walk that amount of time, and that's what we hold, that a mil is 18 minutes. Okay, now, the shear of ben hashmashos is 3/4 of a mil. So if a mil is 2000 amas, 3/4 of a mil is 1500 amas, or 15 minutes. So that is the time ben hashmashos. Ben hashmashos is 15 minutes before Laila. Okay? Now again, the Mechaber says the time before ben hashmashos, if you want to make it all early, tosef you can. And again, the Ramah says you could make it as early as plag. So let's look at this in the calendar over here, and then we're going to try to understand it. You can accept Shabbos as early as plag and mincha. This entire time you can add. Now, if you want to be right, that's the same slide, right? You could add this if you want. But the Mechaber says this time of tosef Shabbos has to be added. You could add some time all the way up until ben hashmashos. But what the Mechaber is saying is that all of this time over here is vaday yom. You can make it tosef Shabbos if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But it has to be before ben hashmashos. Ben hashmashos is 15 minutes before tseis. This is the Mechaber's world. All right, now
why is it 15 minutes? Isn't that it should be 9 times 2 or 4.5 times 4, and 3 of that is like 13.5 or something, no?
What's it? Say again.
3 times 4.5 is 13.5. Why is it 15 minutes?
So basically, a mill is 18 minutes, right?
Which is 4 times 4.5. It's 9.5, two nines, or 4.5s.
You're right. I did the math wrong. It's 1 second. 1 second. It's 18. 1 second. Oh, it's roughly 15 minutes. I'm sorry, my bad. It's be'erech 15 minutes. Accurately, it's 13.5. I'm sorry. You're correct. You're right. I'm sorry. Accurate. In other words, now happens right. I'm sorry. My bad. It's 18 minutes is a mill. 18 minutes is a mill divided right, and 1500 amma would be 13.5 minutes. And it's the Mishnah use that expression be'erech a quarter of an hour, be'erech 15 minutes. But you're right. It's 13.5. Thank you. All right, now let's see the Bir Halacha, because this Bir Halacha is going to explain to us where the sheet has come from, what's going on, etc. Okay, here says the Bir Halacha. Tam calls that. What is the reason for all of this? He's going to explain that we have a stira coming, and let's go through step by step. When does Shabbos end? So we know that Shabbos ends by Shkia, but before Shkia, there's some other things going on. So let's carefully read what the Bir Halacha says. Halacha says, "Psachim daf tzadik daled isa, the mishkia sechama atzeis kachom shiur daled milim." Gemara Psachim tells us that from shkia till tzeis is a shear of 4 mil. Now again, 4 mil is 2,000 amas, so 8,000 amas, so 72 minutes from shkia till tzeis. So if I would ask you, how long does it take from shkia sechama till tzeis sechama? The answer is what the Gemara Psachim tells us. It's 72 minutes. Right? 4 mil. All right. Now we know a mil is 18 minutes. 4 mil is 72 minutes. So it's very clear. The Gemara Pesachim clearly tells us that if you want to know the time from Shkia to Tzeis, the answer is it's 4 mil, 72 minutes. Okay. So if we only saw this Gemara Pesachim, everything would be fine. Everything would be easy. Shkia to Tzeis, 72 minutes, nothing to talk about. So far, so good, right?
So Rebbe, so that means that it's a standard 72 minutes, because you can't say that in the winter you walk faster and in the summer you walk slower.
That is correct.
Cool.
That is correct. Okay, now let's go on. B'Shabbos daf lamed hey daf lamed daled isa the mishkia secham matzkel ben hashmashos. Now the Gemara in Shabbos seems to contradict what we just said. Why? The Gemara in Shabbos tells us that from Shkia Achama begins Ben Hashmashos. Now, Shkia Achama is the start of Ben Hashmashos. That's what Gemara Shabbos tells us, right? Step 1. Step 2, Va'amar Shama, and the Gemara Shabbos says further, the Meshach Ben Hashmashos Talter V'Mil. The length of Ben Hashmashos is 3/4 of a mil, which again is about 15 minutes, 13.5 minutes, right? Point is right. And I did the slides wrong also. You're going to see in a minute. I wrote 15. But anyway, 3/4 of a mil. So you guys see the contradiction. Watch. Ben Hashmashos is 15 minutes, and after those 15 minutes, it's Laila. And what is Laila? Tzeis Kachavim. Well, the only problem is that the Gemara tells us that the start of Shkia is the start of Ben Hashmashos. Ben Hashmashos lasts 15 minutes, and then it's Tzeis Kachavim. So if I ask the Gemara in Shabbos, how long does it take from Shkia till Tzeis? The answer is 15 minutes. Says the Bir Halacha King Kasha Dadi. So again, the Gemara Pesachim says the time from Shkia till Tzeis is 72 minutes. And the Gemara in Shabbos says the time Shkia is the start of Ben Hashmashos. And Ben Hashmashos lasts 15 minutes. And right after Ben Hashmashos comes Laila. So basically, we have a huge contradiction. Because if I ask you, how long does it take from Shkia till Tzeis? The Gemara Pesachim says 72 minutes, and the Gemara in Shabbos says 15 minutes. Make up my mind. It's one or the other, but it's not both. This seems to be the stira.
So isn't that the later Shkia, Rebbe? There's the 2 Shkias.
1 second. I don't know 2 Shkias. I don't know 2 Tzeises. I know one thing. There's this contradiction. The Gemara in Pesachim says Shkia till Tzeis is 72 minutes. And the Gemara in Shabbos says Shkia till Tzeis is 15 minutes. That's the question. So far, so bad?
Okay. Got it.
Now, Martin, you're right. We're going to see that Rabbeinu Tam and the Gra have different answers to this question,
but this is the stira. The contradiction is it's either 72 minutes or 15, but those two numbers don't exactly fit together. Okay, so here's the answer. So says the Bir Halacha, Akein Tirz Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam is Siyata L'chalik ben Shkiyas Acham and the Psachim L'Shkiyas Acham Shebeshabes. Rabbeinu Tam makes two Shkiyas. The Hid Psachim who has Chalas Shkiyah. The Gemara in Psachim that said 72 minutes from Shkiyah till Tzeis is talking about the beginning of Shkiyah. Mishkiyas Guf Hashemesh Shenes Kasem Einav, when the sun is just covered from my eyes. Me'az Ad Tzeis Kachavim Dal Minute. From there until Tzeis Kachavim is 72 minutes. So here's Rabbeinu Tam's answer. Says Rabbeinu Tam, there are two Shkiyas. The Gemara in Psachim, when it's talking about Shkiyah, saying 72 minutes, and that was talking about the regular Shkiyah. And I have a little, it's when the sun goes down. I have a picture here that makes it very clear. You still see lots of orange, lots of red. The sun just dipped down below the horizon. This is the Shkiyah that they were talking about in Psachim. Right? And now, the one in Shabbos, Shabbos, who's Sofa Shkiyah. The Gemara in Shabbos that said it's 15 minutes from Shkiyah till Tzeis, that was talking the end of Shkiyah. Shukin Shinishka Gama Or Hashemesh, when already the light of the sun is already fading, Merov Arakia from most of the sky, Levad Litzamaravi, except for the western side where it's actually going down. Me'az Maskal Ben Hashmashos, and from that moment starts Ben Hashmashos, She Gimel Revi Mil, which is 3/4 of the mil, Kodem says the Klavim. Me'atzchol is Ashkiya, Shishkiya is Gufa Shemesh at Sof Ashkiya, Naal Hu Yom. So from the beginning of Shkiya until the Sof Shkiya is Vada Yom, V'meshach Gimel Mil Revi, and it's a length of 3 mil and a quarter. Vazuzman to Sefer Shabbos, and that's the time to Sefer Shabbos. Okay, basically what happens like this. From Shkiya, what we know is Shkiya when the sun goes down, when it goes beneath the surface, and from that Shkiya until Tzeis is 72 minutes. That's what the Gemara in Psachim was talking about. The Gemara in Shabbos that said Shkiya is the start of Ben Hashmashos, Ben Hashmashos goes to Laila, is talking about the Sofa Shkiya. What is the Sofa Shkiya? Basically like this, where it's really it's actually less than this even really, because it's fading from all of the sky. This might be, I don't think this rove is not a good picture, honestly. And this would not be Sof Shkiya. Sof Shkiya is actually later than this. And my Google search wasn't good enough. But the point is, most of the sun has gone. As Mechaber said, Nishka Gam Or Hashem Rover Kilavav Mitzam Ravi, Umaz Maskal Ben Hashmashos. So basically, Rabbeinu Tam says like this: the second Shkiya is what the Gemara in Shabbos was talking about. So the first Shkiya, what we know as Shkiya, when the sun dips beneath the horizon, and this till Tzeis Chacham is 72 minutes. The Gemara in Shabbos, when it's talking about saying 15 minutes between Shkiya and Tzeis, was talking the end of Shkiya, Sof Shkiya, and from there to Tzeis is 3/4 of a mil, or 13.5 minutes. But here's the punchline, gentlemen. What about the time before Ben Hashmashos? According to Ben Tam, what is that?
Yom.
Who Yom.
Yom,
This entire time is day. In fact, this entire time I can make it to Sefer Shabbos if I want. If I don't want to, I don't have to. But it's completely day. I mean, according to Rabbeinu Tam, if you were in Rabbeinu Tam's world, you could, long after Shkiya, you could smoke a cigarette, you could drive, you could get on the phone. You have 57, not quite 57 minutes. I did the math incorrectly here, but you have a lot of time from the Shkiya all the way up until over here, all the way till Ben Hashmashos. Why? Because it's when the Gemara in Shabbos says that you start counting Shabbos, it's a Sof Shkiya. And Sof Shkiya till is 3/4 of a mil to Tzeis. But all this over here is Vada Yom, and this is when you do Tosefah Shabbos if you wish to. You do a little bit, you do a lot, but all this time is Vada Yom, 100% day. All right, so far so good? So what Rabbeinu Tam does is he creates two Shkiyas, and the two Shkiyas answers the problem. Okay? Now, Va'adal min etzal Shkiya lahavi laila vadai zo shitas Rabbeinu Tam, there's Rabbeinu Tam shitas yaso. In the comments, Mishin Lam and Al Sefei, Magen Avram Mashu Sham Shadait Alocha Kashita Zu. Magen Avram holds this way. Okay, so again, basically this entire time period is 72 minutes. Here, all the way, it's Vada Yom. This is Bein Hashmashos. This is Suffolk Laila, Suffolk Yom. And again, you have to do Sefer Shabbos over here. But again, according to Rabbeinu Tam, you could go all the way over here and do whatever you want, malacha, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It's not until close to Bein Hashmashos that you do Sefer Shabbos. And by Bein Hashmashos, that's when you have to treat it as Vada Day, Vada night. I'm sorry. All right, that's Rabbeinu Tam. Now let's jump to the Gra. Says the Gra, Aval HaGrazal, it goes on, Cholek al Shita Zu. Virich bekam Arayas, he brings Merai Deshkia, Sachama Shabbos, and Yibin Hashmashos, Gam Kin Ascholas Shkia. The Gra says, Chas v'Shalom. When we say Shkia and Gemara and Shabbos, it also means real, like what we call Shkia, when the sun dips beneath the horizon. It's exactly the same one as Psachim. And then immediately after Shkia begins Ben Hashmashos. So leave it up you. The pasuk Rabbi Yochanan can say l'chomru b'Shabbos. Meshach zman Ben Hashmashos give him a revi mil, and at time Ben Hashmashos is 3/4 of a mil. Says the Gra, Shkia is exactly what you thought it was when the sun dips beneath the horizon. Gemara in Shabbos, Gemara in Psachim, everyone agrees it's the same Shkia. There's one Shkia. When you can no longer see the ball of the sun, when it dips below the horizon, there's only one Shkia. So what happens then? One Shkia happens, then Bein Hashmashos happens. And from Bein Hashmashos, from Shkia to Bein Hashmashos, is at 3/4 of a mil, about 15 minutes, or again, 13.5 minutes. So according to the Gra, how long does it take to get to Tzeis?
15 minutes.
Right, about
So 59 minutes, no?
Mm-mm.
No, it should take 59 minutes.
According to the Gra, it takes 13.5 minutes. Why? Because from Shkia until Shkia begins Bein Hashmashos, and the end of Bein Hashmashos it says, and we know the length of Bein Hashmashos is 3/4 of a mil. And so from Shkia to Tzeis, according to the Gra, is less than 15 minutes. Now,
So the Gra finishes the day very early.
very early. Now,
basically.
we're going to see.
Okay.
We're going to have to see in a minute what happens Lamaisa. Okay, now the Gra still has an obvious problem though, and that is how do you explain when the Gemara said from Shkia to Tzeis is 72 minutes, right? Meaning it didn't say 13.5 minutes. From Shkia to Tzeis, the Gemara Pesachim told us is Daled Mil, 72 minutes. V'kusha nal tiret zechalik ben says the Shabbos says the Pesachim. He made a chilik instead of making two shkiyas like the Rabbeinu Tam did. What the Gra did was he made two tzeis kachavim. The tzeis kachavim psachim is different than tzeis kachavim the Shabbos. Whose man shalayla should give kachavim beinonim? The one in Shabbos is 3 kachavim beinonim. The tzeis kachavim the psachim, tzeis kachavim that Gemara Psachim was talking about, who says kol kachavim. It's not just 3 beinonim, but all of the stars come out near Balayla. Shuzma mu'ucha harbe. That's much later. Says the Gra. When the Gemara in Shabbos is saying from Shkia till Tzeis is 3/4 of a mil, 13.5 minutes, that was talking about Tzeis HaKachavim, the Gimel Kachavim Beinonim come out at the end of Tzeis. When the Gemara in Pesachim was saying it's 72 minutes from Shkia till Tzeis, they were talking about Tzeis Kol HaKachavim, when all the stars in the sky are out, when the sky is filled with not just 3 Beinonim, but filled with stars. That is the 72 minutes. So again, basically the question is, do you create, you have a stira between the Gemara Pesachim says Shkia till Tzeis is 72 minutes. The Gemara in Shabbos says Shkia till Tzeis is 15 or 13 and a half minutes. So one of them is wrong. So the question is, how do you change it? So Rabbeinu Tam says what you have to assume is there are 2 shkiyas. And the Gemara in Pesachim was talking about the shkia, a special kind of shkia, a very early shkia, and there, right, that shkia till Tzeis HaKachavim is 72 minutes, it's 4 mil. And the Gemara in Shabbos, which was talking about the regular shkia, that's sof shkia, the end of shkia, that's 13 and a half minutes from there till Tzeis. That's the Rabbeinu Tam's answer. The Gra says the exact opposite. You don't make 2 shkiyas, rather he makes 2 tzeises. Meaning, when the Gemara in Shabbos says from shkiya till tzeis is 3/4 of a mil, right? That was referring to really our regular shkiya when the sun dips below the horizon, and there till tzeis, which is 13.5 minutes later. That's 3 stars coming out. Gemara Psachim that said it takes 4 mil to go from shkiya to tzeis. We're talking about tzeis kol hakachav much later. All right, so far so good.
Can you put Rabbeinu Tam back up there for a second, please?
Yep, sure. 1 second. So Rabbeinu Tam like this. When does shkiya start for Shabbos? Over here. Right before Bein Hashmashas. Way past shkiya. What we call shkiya is this. And that's what Gemara in Psachim was referring to. But for Shabbos, that's not shkiya. Rabbeinu Tam says shkiya starts all the way over here. And again, in Rabbeinu Tam's city, you could find people smoking long after shkiya. They'd be smoking their pipes, smoking their cigars, whatever they're doing, and going about their business. Because in Rabbeinu Tam's world, it's so shkiya is the shkiya for Shabbos, and that means way later than regular shkiya.
Perhaps this isn't the place to say this, but
Not done yet. Don't say yeah.
would-
We're not done yet. We're not done yet. We're not done yet.
it would seem that
not done yet.
the
Shut-
lashon of
Trust me.
I'll hold off. Okay, sorry.
I'll tell you why, because we're going to see what this is going to change a lot. Now, says the Bir
Wait,
Halacha.
are we saying for the
I'm sorry.
for the grub between 15 and 72 minutes? Is that Lila or is that
According to the Gra,
what is it between 15 and 72?
so that's
The red area.
Go back. Let's stop that. According to the Gra, this time over here, it's already Lila. 3 stars came out over here. I'm on the wrong slide. I don't want that slide. I want this slide. According to the Gra, 3 stars came out over here. So that's Lila, and you could go drive your car, go smoke a cigar, you're done. So what did the Gemara Pesachim mean? It takes 72 minutes to go from Shkiya to Tzeis. That was referring to Tzeis Kol HaKachav, mamish, all the stars, not just 3 Beinonim, but you'll have the whole sky will be filled with stars. That's what it was referring to. A much later Shiur. And again, you have a choice. You have to make either 2 Shkiyas or 2 Tzeis. We have a stira. And the Gemara in Pesachim says from Shkiya to Tzeis 72 minutes. And Gemara in Shabbos says from Shkiya to Tzeis is 3/4 of a mil, 15 to 13.5 minutes. So something's got to budge. So Rabbeinu Tam says, no problem, make 2 Shkiyas. When on Shabbos, we're referring to the later Shkiya. That's 13.5 minutes till Tzeis. And Gemara in Pesachim was talking about an earlier Shkiya, not a normal Shkiya. This Shkiya when the ball of the sun goes down earlier than horizon. That's not a real Shkiya. That's a special din over there for Pesachim. Shabbos is much later than that. It says the Gra Chas V'Shalom, exact opposite. You can't make 2 Shkiyas. And in Shabbos, when it said from Shkiya till Tzeis is 13.5 minutes, 3/4 of a mil, that was referring to what we always call Shkiya. From there, it's 3/4 of a mil till Tzeis. That means, and the day is done. Gemara Pesachim was talking about something different altogether. It says Kol HaKachav, and that's a much later when the whole sky is finished. But really, if you want to from Shkiya to Tzeis, normal Tzeis of 3 Kachav Beinonim, it's that 3/4 of a mil, the 13.5 minutes.
So why does he call it Ben Hashmashos when it's between the end of the sun and the beginning of the stars? That's confusing.
So Bein Hashmashas is a time that's a Suffolk Yom and Suffolk Laila. We're not sure during that time period
Right.
what it is. So Shkiya, according to the Gra, Shkiya might have, Bein Hashmashas, it's like a Shkiya might be, the night might start then, but it might not start for another 13.5 minutes. So that's Bein Hashmashas, Suffolk Yom, Suffolk Laila.
Lacha was it in Pesachim that you needed this tzeis for?
So it's Karbanas, a different din. And and it's nothing to do with a regular Shabbos din, has to do with a totally different issue. But I looked at it a long time ago and I don't remember now. Now I don't remember. I think it was Karbanas. I looked at it, yeah. I'm not sure. I don't. Not on my brain now.
The-
All right.
Without that, then it's going to come out that we're going to end Shabbos 13 and a half minutes after the first Shkia, and Pesach, you have to wait like close to an hour longer to do whatever that is.
No. The Gra would tell you everything happens after 13 and a half minutes. It's mamish line. There's a special din over there, not a regular din of Karbonis dig din. Says kol kachom. It's not a regular din.
So that din is going to come out an hour later than the end of Shabbos.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
All right, now the Be'er Halacha makes the obvious point, and that is we know this isn't true. Have you ever seen 3 stars Beinonim out 13 and a half minutes after Shkia? In our world, if you walk out after Shkia 13 and a half minutes later, it's still light. You don't see any stars. Maybe big stars that you'll see during the day. You don't see any stars. It's very, very light. So says the Be'er Halacha. Even though to our eyes it's clear that the length of Ben Ishmashos till says Kavim who harbe yos migimel revi mil is much more than 13 and a half minutes. Who kamoshikaz of a gra bebiru. And this is what the Gra explained in his explanation. Shishir Agamar Nemarak al Ofel Bovel o Eretz Yisrael. It was only said on the latitude. Ofek means horizon. The horizon of Bovel or Eretz Yisrael. Basically, the Be'er Halacha says, here's the question. The Gra is saying from Shkia till Tzeis is 3/4 of the mil, 13 and a half minutes. It's not true. It takes much more time to Tzeis. The answer is where you were. In Bovel, so Bovel is much closer to the equator. So because it's much closer to the equator, the time from Shkia till Tzeis is much quicker. By the way, in Eretz Yisrael, in Eretz Yisrael, the time from Shkia to Tzeis is like, what, where to go? What, hey, how'd that happen? In America, it takes a long time, but the closer you are to the equator, the less the tilt and the less time it took. So therefore, basically, when did the Gemara in Shabbos say from Shkia to Tzeis is 3/4 of a mil? That was in the horizon of Bavel or Eretz Yisrael, where it was closer to the equator. Aval in our countries, Shinota Yosel Sofan, we're further north. Miss Arach Yoser, the time between Shkia and Tzeis is more. Therefore, we don't have a set time for the Gemara. Al Ofek Shalanu, on our horizon, on our latitude. I mean, our countries are much higher up. Meaning, here's the equator, so we're much higher up. So when the Gra said in Bavel, which was much lower, closer to the equator, that's when the Gemara was saying the time from Shkia to Tzeis is 13 and a half minutes. Yes, that's correct. In our countries are much further north, a higher latitude. Therefore, the time between Shkia and Tzeis, we don't know exact. There's no exact time because it really depends where you are, and we don't have an exact time. And this is the point. Ein lanu zman mesuyam. According to the Gra, we don't have a set time when Ben Hashmashos ends. Right? And therefore, he says, therefore, we don't have a shear of 72 minutes or 4 meal, whatever it may be. The only thing we can depend on is another shear that the Gemara gave us clearly, and that is when 3 kochavim come out, when 3 kochavim beinanim come out, then we know it's fine. We know it's Vadei Tzeis. Avalo Gedolim, not big ones. Lafisha Einan Bekim, Eza Beinanim. And therefore, since we don't know which are Beinanim and which are Gedolim, Sarach Lamtim Akatanim. Therefore, we have to wait for 3 stars that are Katanim. Kamosha Kasav, Simon Reish Shama Gimel, Vayin Sham, Bakshkaz Obin Yizel, Shita Zagra Nal. Okay. Miad Achashkias Guvashem, and Alaretsu Ben Ishmash Gomer Canal. Okay? So basically, when do we say Shabbos is over according to the Gra? It's totally strictly on 3 stars coming out. Really 3 stars Beinanim, but it happens to be because we're not Bekiyim, so we wait for Katanim. And that's the halacha. So this is where things get a little squashy and a little confusing because since we don't have Zman Mesuyam, so we treat it Shkia, and everybody treats it this way. Shkia is the beginning of the suffix, and when does it end? So it happens to end when 3 stars come out. when exactly is that? So we don't really know. But here's a very important thing to know, La'alocha. Moshe Feinstein writes in the Igeres Moshe that in many times he was out in New York, in New Jersey, and he says it was as dark at 50 minutes after Shkia as it was in Russia 72. So the halacha is, we're knowing, many people know 72. Chavetz Chaim people often know 60, but you should know, la halacha, it's really a chumrah. Now, it's a nice thing to do. First of all, there's an iyun Tosefes Shabbos. You're supposed to add before Shabbos and after Shabbos. So it's good to add. But really, mitzad din, there's no reason after 50 minutes that there should be any suffix about it being vaday laila. It's once 3 stars come out, then really the Bir Halacha explains it's 3 stars and there's another sign, there's no light at all. Those 2 signs we know of vaday. Again, even though in Ofek Bavel that we knew 72 minutes 4 mil, we don't have that anymore because it doesn't apply to our latitude. We can only go by 3 kochavim. And once the 3 kochavim come out, we know it's vaday laila. And again, when Moshe says 3 kochavim comes out by 50 minutes after, and ain't no question about it. Okay, now one last step.
When Rabbeinu Tam said that it was Daled Mil, that he didn't mean that in a literal sense of that he was just saying that was the amount of time it took in Babel for it to get there.
So that's the
specifically
problem. That's the problem. It has to be to some extent, even Rabbeinu Tam Bavel, because it depends. It's totally on the latitude. It's totally on the season. It's not true. Meaning, the time from Shkia till Seis varies. It really does. No matter where you are, it varies. So when the Gemara says 72 minutes, it has to be only in Tammuz in Bavel. Meaning, Gemara, you can't have 72 minutes as a shiur. It can't be. So the Rabbeinu Tam would be telling you that was in Bavel in a specific time of year, in Tishrei and in Nisan. It was Tishrei, one of the equinox, right? It would be June 20. 1 second. Where does he says it? 1 second. The other Bir Halacha explains it. But the point is, it's Tishrei. It's only at 2 times of the year that it's 72 minutes. Meaning, even here, by the way, the time, if you'd ask us halacha in our latitude, so in the summer it's 15 minutes from Shkia to Tzeis. In the winter, it might be as little as 42 minutes, because it really does vary based on the season. Because depending on the season will determine the time from Shkia to Tzeis. So Rabbeinu Tam can't deny that, and he explains that was Ofek Bavel in a specific time, namely in Tishrei. I think it's Tishrei and Nisan. I think it was. I forgot exactly when, but those 2 times.
I've actually heard Rabbi David say that in Rochester it's kedai to wait 72 because we're further, north on the equator, so it really does take longer.
Okay, that's a good
especially
point.
in the summer.
Right, that's a good point. The further up you are latitude wise, the longer it takes from Shkia to Tzeis. And by the way, I'm willing to bet you go to parts of really very north, go to Alaska, certain parts, it's going to take a lot more than 72 minutes from Shkia to Tzeis, because it is dependent on latitude. So again, the point is what the Gra is saying. In other words, what the Gra is telling us is that you can't use 72 minutes for anything, because that's only in Bavel, only in 2 times a year in Bavel, and it's irrelevant. Rabbeinu Tam says no, that's not true. Now, what you do with the Metzias, I don't know what to tell you, because you can't have the Gra and Rabbeinu Tam arguing Metzias, but it really does depend. But let's see Lamaisa, what comes out. Lamaisa v'vadi tzarich lizar kedas Gra. Lalacha, you have to watch out and keep the Gra. V'arbe min harishonim poskim al demiyad achas chal shkia hainu shar shecham neschas meinenu. The minute that the sun is covered from our eyes, meaning it dips to the horizon, who is a gomer shalasos malacha. It's us a gomer and you'll do malacha. V'chas shom lahaka b'zeh. And chas shom d'mekel do suffik is a skila. The das kol ner busanal. Now, again, according to Rabbeinu Tam, he would say, go smoke a cigar. But we don't hold that way. And Lamaisa, and Bir Halacha is clear. Lamaisa, we don't pass that way. B'frat b'yamenu, she'ena olam b'kim b'zman ben hashrash, as well as zil kol almi yishlach milfrosh, lach mitzchal shkia, k'yisug marvu b'shulchan aruch simon gimel. Especially in our day, people don't know. So basically, bottom line is, once the sun is nichsas achameinin, once it dips beneath the surface, the horizon, we treat that for all purposes as if it's Suffolk Lila. And by the way, the Bir Halach in a few places says that even the Magen Avraham Lamaisa acts that way. Even now, Magen Avraham is Rabbeinu Tam, Shita. And he says even the Magen Avraham Lamaisa for Shabbos kept Shkia as the beginning time, even though he was an ultimate Rabbi Rabbeinu Tam man who held that was Vada Yom Lamaisa. It was Machmir. Okay, now one last step, very important. But lav dafkin in Shabbos, this idea of Seis HaKochavim is not only the Lagabi Shabbos, do it in the Chol Dover Sheish B'Torah Shenaf Gemina Ben Yom Ben Laila. Any Doraisa where there's a difference between day and Laila, Azlin Lahachmir, and the take it what's called the Shkia. As soon as Shkia starts, Maskal Ben Hashmashos, with Ninshach Hazman Ben Hashmashos, Adisias Gimel Chachamim Beinonim. So for all Doraisas, you have to wait until Tseis Gimel Kochavim really Beinonim, but we're Machmir to Ketanim, and any Doraisa again begins Shkia. So don't make a mistake. It's not a Chumrah in Shabbos. It's really we treat it this way. Good, and that's that's the halacha. All right,
So, Rebbe, there's a couple times a year where I remember he said, well, we have to wait even longer because we have to be sure, like every Pesach. Is it, I forget, is it still 3 stars?
So it depends. Yeah, 3 stars, and no matter where you are, 3 stars is a sign of Vade Laila. And,
Okay.
That for sure. Again, there are 2 signs of Vade Laila. One when there's 3 stars, and when there's no light whatsoever anywhere on the horizon, not even on the Maravi side, where it totally becomes blackened. But 3 stars is definitely a sign that it's Lila. Now, the only thing is we may not know exactly what 3 stars Beinonim are, so we machmir for Ketanim. But once you see 3 stars Ketanim, then that's Seis HaKochavim, that's Lila for all purposes. Oh, my wife is calling me. 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm done in 2 minutes, okay? Yeah, I'm parked, yeah. Okay, all right, yeah. Okay, bye.
Rabbi, it's good you answered, or you would have seen 3 stars.
Yeah. Martin, do you know what my wife just said to me? You know what she just said to me? She said, good, so you can come in. So as soon as you come in, we can go home. Hey. Good. I'm dutifully obeying. Okay, soon as I'm gonna come in, we can go home. All right, anyway, so are we good? So we got the Gra, we got Rabbeinu Tam. So basically, this is where the famous Rabbeinu Tam, the 72 minutes comes in. Because again, according to Rabbeinu Tam, he doesn't say nothing about this Bovel. It's in our world, it's 72 minutes. That's how but it's a little funny because if we're machmir like Rabbeinu Tam, according to Rabbeinu Tam himself, you don't have to start Shabbos until way, way later. So, but we're machmir like both shitas. In other words, we start Shabbos with the Gra right at Shkia as soon as the sun dips beneath the surface. We end Shabbos all the way by, either Tzeis HaKochavim or 72 minutes. Now, 72 minutes really is a double chumrah because, everybody would agree, even Rabbeinu Tam would agree that 3 stars only comes out 72 minutes. So to keep 72 minutes after 3 stars is, we do it. It's a minhag, and even Ramosha writes to do it, but there's not that much basis in logic to it. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, even if you ask Rabbeinu Tam, what is 3 stars? 3 stars, Vade Laila. Happens to be, I know from Shkia till 3 stars is 72 minutes. Now, the problem is, maybe you'll say, you don't know what 3 stars are, so you better wait 70. All right, maybe you could argue, but it's not it's a difficult logic, to be honest with you.
With this feeling in Kriya Shema also, the Rabbeinu Tam would have said 72 minutes for Kriya Shema.
Yeah, all the races, absolutely, all the races. That's
and the Gra would have said it for 15 minutes.
Oh, should you wait 72? Meaning,
I say, would the Gra have waited only 15? The Gra would have waited 15 minutes inside Kriya Shema?
No. The Gra says that was only in Bavel 15 minutes. Where we live, says the Gra, it's much longer than 15 minutes, and he probably agrees pretty close to what the Rabbeinu Tam holds. I mean, the
Although
question
just the Bear who said that. I don't think the Gra himself
no,
said that.
Rabbi Allah is saying that's shot in the Gra. That's what the Gra means. Because the Metzias, listen, the Gra is aware that it takes more than 15 minutes from Shkia to Tzeis. What he's saying is the Gra's answer is that Gemara is talking in Bavel, where Taka was a very short time. It was very, very south, closer to the equator, and therefore from Shkia to Tzeis was a short amount of time. But where we live, of course, it takes much longer, and you have to wait till Tzeis Kacham. But again, according to the Gra, the main point is, according to the Gra, we don't have any Shiur from Shkia to Tzeis. We don't have any, minute amount. So therefore, we have to wait for Tzeis Kachamim 3 Katanim to make sure that it's, what I'm saying? According to Rabbeinu Tam, we have that 3/4. Rabbeinu Tam says, no, it's not. It wasn't in Bavel. It's a rule, I guess, all over. I don't know what Rabbeinu Tam does with the Metzias, because it does depend on the latitude. But again, what Rabbeinu Tam is saying is that it's a rule from Shkia to Tzeis. Tzeis Kachamim is 72 minutes after the first Shkia. But again, according to Rabbeinu Tam, the second Shkia is when Shabbos starts. All right, is this thoroughly confusing?
Can we just follow up on one question from the end of last year? Because I don't think we had a maskana to it. As far as when the earliest time is to daven Marav, if you know Rabbi Yehuda is involved, if you're going according to the Rabbanan, when's the earliest time you can daven Marav after Shkia? It sounds I was here 15 minutes. I thought is like you're 15 minutes all the time, or 8 minutes, or like how has this actually come out? It sounds like you have to wait much longer for not to get tied to the sasser.
If you mean not to have a tied to the sasser, really?
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, you're allowed to pass like Rabbi Yehuda if you want, and you can down before Plag.
Right, but if you're not, you're in all the shuls that go and they daven Mincha Marav together, and the Rav speaks in between. It's at the most you're talking about 15 minutes after Shkia. Are they just looking with the target disaster? Or
no, you could. Here's what you could do. In other words, if you use the Rabbanan Shita, and assuming, in other words, what you do is you get the 15 minutes would allow you, that would allow you. Oh, I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stop here because I didn't figure this out. Now it's 10:08, and my wife's gonna have my head. Jake, I'll leave you a voice note, Bli Neder, about this. And we'll answer this, but I better scoot. I'm sorry.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen.
Shabbos.
Okay.
Not one of the 10 dumb mistakes.
Right. All right.
You did a very good job.
Shalom, Rabbi.
So I hope this
Great Shabbos.
Sunday. I'll try to
All
send
right.
out more comments. All right. Okay.
Good Shabbos to everyone.
Shabbos.